Is it working? Here we go. There we are. All right. I'm going to see. I don't know if there's any more cars coming in, so we'll get started. If anybody else comes in, we'll make them do the test afterwards. So, my name is Lisa Williams. Some of you might know me as Lisa Hunter. This is my old church and my old stomping grounds and all that kind of stuff. So, I have been with the RCMP for 17 years. I can't believe it. Going on my 18th year. And Mark reached out and said, I know you do these talks. Can you come in this area? And I'm like, I know it's not my jurisdiction, but I'm going to make it happen. So we made it happen because I love doing these talks. So it's unfortunately a talk that we have to discuss because this day and age, things have changed drastically even in the last 17 years with policing. 17 years ago, I'd get in the cars and go with the members because I'm not an arresting officer, I'm a community officer. I don't go in the cars with them anymore. You just never know what you're going to come up to. So things have changed, and the lovely internet is a wonderful tool, but it has brought on many more problems. One of my main talks I do with kids is about the internet, and that's a whole different realm there, unfortunately. So I do work I have 23 schools, and I work all of Charlotte County, the islands, and Harvey and Macadam, so I keep busy because it's just me. But like I said, I love doing these things, so that's why I am here. So we are going to talk about frauds and scams. There's so many of them, and I just want to read a stat to you right now that I took a picture of because it's kind of scary just to think how much money we lose. And this, I brought information at the back, so when you leave, please pick it up because I'll be talking about different things that you can find out on the Anti-Fraud Center for Canada. And this is a stat here, so in 2024, so just from January 2024, and the date here ends at the end of October, they had reports processed 40,623. Hello, my dear. And in 2023, they had 63,000 reported, and this is reported because, folks, there are many people that won't report because they're embarrassed they were scammed. So these are just the folks that actually said, it happened to me. Victims of fraud, 28,000, and in 2023 was 42,200. Lost in fraud, $503 million. And in 2023, they had 577 million lost that was reported. Yes, dear. This is Canada. This is all of Canada. So it's the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, so they keep all the stats and stuff that goes in. So the scary part is that's just a reported. Because I know I've been at different talks, and I had one lady come up to me one day, and she was, before we started, and she said, I got to tell you what I did. And she gave me a little story, and I said, well, would you like to tell the group? Because she ended up stopping before she was scammed. Oh no, dear, I couldn't do that. But you can do it, but don't say my name. But you were smart and you stopped it, so why don't you want to share that? So I'm hoping, it's awesome to see so many here today. It's cold, but it's not snowing, so that's good. But when I love doing these, hopefully you're going to talk to somebody else that you know. Because not everybody could be here, but maybe you're talking to somebody and you go, oh, I learned about this, or I heard about this, or no, don't do that, because we've got to get this word out. Now, some folks don't want to listen to these, and they completely believe it, and that's the scary part, because we do have many people that are being scammed but don't believe they're being scammed. I know you and I spoke of it. And it happens a lot. We had a lady in St. Andrews that thought she was going to move with this prince, sold her house in St. Andrews. How the police found out was she went to live at the Algonquin because she sold her house, and she talked to one of the cleaners saying that, oh, you know, I'm going to be heading out soon to Dubai, and it's going to be wonderful. And luckily this young lady went, we need to let the police know this lady's being scammed. Well, did she listen to us? No, and it was a constant. So these people are very, very knowledgeable how to draw you in. And once they draw you in, it happens quite often, unfortunately. But after today, you're going to know, no, I'm going to hang this thing up. Now I told Mark I don't usually do these because I never stay on it, because after 17 years I got lots of examples that I've dealt with and those kind of things. And just a little background, some know I see some of my teachers here, which is really cool. I was a teacher before I joined the force and a correction officer, so I've been working with kids and crime for a long, long time. So I always I like talking to the kids and the seniors. It's the ones in between that are really hard to get, but I'm going to keep trying. So let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see this working. This is pretty cool here. So I did up this PowerPoint. Like I said, I rarely hold on to it. So if you have a question, or when I'm talking about something and it happened to you, don't be afraid to. I like having conversations, because sometimes maybe something's happened to you that somebody didn't hear about, or somebody might go, oh, that happened to me too. You're not alone, unfortunately, because they will try constantly. I'm going to talk about the antivirus. So, the lovely passwords. How many, I don't know if anybody's going to admit it, but how many people have one password and they use it for everything? Stop that! Stop! Why I say that is, what happens if you're online and you do something that they're able to get into your computer, or somehow they come up with a password and they got it off your Facebook? Well, let's go try it on the bank account. Let's go try it on this account. So if you have the same password for everything, if they only need to get one, and they are going to try everything else to see what they can get into. Teachers, and every 6 months we have to change it. With my RCMP computer, I have to sign in, I think, 3 times to even get into my computer, and then they say change, and you're like, oh my word. I have post-it notes at the office because I can't remember them all. But don't use the same one, because sometimes they can get that and then they have free reign to what you have. And if you think maybe, sometimes you'll get an email that's questioning that, or go change it. If you think you might, I don't know if anybody uses, my brain, okay, remember how old I am now? Anybody else have brain fog and you got a question in your word and you're like, ugh. But if you, Equifax is who I was thinking of, sometimes they'll say, your email was on the dark web or whatever. Then you might need to go in and change it, because they may not be doing anything to your stuff now, but they've been able to use your email. So just remember that piece of that. Write it in a book, but don't have it written under, like, if somebody, now I'm going to say some things, and don't think, oh my gosh, this is happening all the time. We're not having a whole lot of going into your house, breaking into your house. But don't have your passwords like under your keyboard or just over here, because sometimes somebody might try to get into it. Just put it somewhere else, or try to put it here. But post-it notes are awesome. That's my friend. So, sensitive paper, yes. This is my time of year. I burn all my stuff because I've got my wood stove going. So if you have your bills, any of your information with your addresses, statements from things, don't just put them in your garbage. If you're putting them in the garbage, rip them in many, many pieces, or you can go to places to have them shred. But if you have a wood fire, or in the summertime, keep your bag. Oh, I'm going to burn this, because there is people that sometimes go into garbages to see, and you might have like your itinerary that you're going on a trip. Oh, I don't need that anymore. Oh, they're not going to be home sweet. They're not going to be home. Or get some of your banking information, those kind of things. So try not to just, if you have a card, cut it up in numerous pieces, like the numbers all apart or something. Don't just go snap, snap, and then it's it, because you never know. Because unfortunately our homeless population is increasing, and they're digging in sometimes. Maybe they're just looking for food or something, but they find something that can get them something else, unfortunately. Just seeing all that. And at any time, if I don't want to keep you here forever, so sometimes I talk fast, but if you have a question or you don't understand, please just say hello. Please stop. Yes, oh my, online giving your information. This is what they're hoping. You know those things, they have a lot of those ones, name your favorite this, or name this, or what's your maiden name, and when you're doing that, you are giving people information about you. And a lot of what I've read is things you put in those answers are sometimes what you use for your passwords. Because I'll be honest, I have my cat's name as a password on my home stuff. You want my home things, whatever. But people do that. So when you're filling out these little questionnaires, sometimes you're given information that they might go, oh, let me try that one. So just be careful about that. Don't share your date of birth, home address. This is stuff we tell kids. At any time, if a bank says, I need you to confirm your card, or I need you to confirm your PIN number, change banks. Because they gave you that information. So if they're asking for it, it's not them. So my advice, if you ever get a phone call saying, and there is some legit calls from different companies, but my thing is, because there's so many scams, if your bank calls you, say, oh, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll stop in at my local branch as soon as I can. Because if there's a problem, I'd rather talk to a person anyway. But that, and then, has anybody ever got the emails from your bank or not your bank, or texts? Royal Bank, I'm with Scotia, so I know, but they send these texts, oh, you need to confirm, or you need to verify this or that, and they just keep sending the different banks until it's the one you use, and everybody thinks, oh, nowadays everything's out there. I don't care if the banks are using texting and stuff, I'm going to my bank. Or if they call and you can say, oh, thank you, I'm busy right now, but I'll call you back. Then you get your card and you call the number on the back of the card. Don't say, give me your number and then call it back, because they're just waiting, right? But if any time, I've talked to many of the bank, and our banks are really great because they're learning about all these things too. So has anybody had the call that if they don't send $2,000 to somewhere, that the sergeant's going to come and arrest you? Anybody heard of that one or been that? You had it too? And I look at Mark, because one of the things I always say, number one, they don't know about the police in Canada, because sergeants don't arrest, they sit behind a desk. Right, Mark? So they're getting it wrong right away because they're saying a sergeant's going to come arrest you. And I've been waiting for this phone call because I want to answer it and say, oh, so is Scott or Chris coming to get me? Because I work with the police and they're my sergeants. But they do this kind of thing. And we had a lady come into the bank in St. George, and she'd come in and she said, oh, I need to take out $2,000. And yes, the tellers aren't supposed to say, what are you doing? But they thought, this is an odd behavior for her. She doesn't usually take this much out. So they said, I know shouldn't be asking, but are you going for a trip? Or, why do you need this much money? And then she started to cry. And she said, I was told if I don't pay this money, I'm going to get arrested. And luckily the lady said, okay, your money's going to stay here, dear. Now you go over to the police station. Well, I happened to be there when she came in, and they were on the cell phone, and oh my word, a lot of these people will be nice until you start not listening to them or refusing, and they'll start to swear. So here she's at the police station. The phone rings again. Brenda, the girl that I work with, she took the phone. Can I help you? And they were like, put her back on. She owes me. She's supposed to send me this money. And Brenda's like, you're talking to the police station. And then the wordy-dird started going. Anybody in here ever, everybody's old. Anybody know when you say wordy-dirds? You guys remember that? Gene Chase? I learned that way back in grade 7, and I still use it. Don't say dirty words. I say wordy-dirds, and I still say it. And my grade 7 class that I'm teaching went, wordy-dirds. No wordy-dirds in my class. But then they started swearing, so we just hung up. But so your banks are knowledgeable. They know that. So if they ever say, what are you getting this much out? Where are you going, Ruth? You might say, hey, I'm going wherever. But at least they were able to know what's going on here. Why is this person doing that? Now, one of my co-workers, her mother's a senior, and she was on a chat group, a Christian chat group, and they were talking about things, and they were sharing scripture and all that stuff, and she thought, well, they're all good people. And then she called Denise and said, I need to go to the bank. And she said, okay, Mom, because she doesn't drive. So they were going over, and Denise said, what are we going to the bank for, Mom? Well, I've got to get this $500 to send to this poor soul that's in my group chat. And Denise went, yep, not happening, and turned around. But here they were in this. You're thinking, here's a nice Christian group. I can, we can talk about, and there was this scammer. Because they get your trust, and she thought, well, he must need it, the poor soul. Well, if you get 500 from how many people he asked, that's a big amount of money. So just be very careful about these things, because unfortunately they know that, hey, I don't know if they know they're even calling Canada sometimes, but we're very trusting, we're very loving people, we care about our people, and that's what they're hoping, that they do the draws. Get your heart just a pumping. Anybody heard of the grandparent scheme? Oh, that is going around a lot. I was actually in Campobello not too long ago, and this lady said, yep, I got it. And I was counting out $6,000 about to send to these people, because they call and say, I have your grandson in custody, or they've been in an accident, and you need to send this money. Come on in, sir. And then, get you thinking about this. And I've talked to different people. I said, how do they, if somebody called and said something about to me, like Dad goes by Papa, but some go by Grampy, some by Nanny, some by, so I thought, how does this work? But they do these little tricks. Well, who am I talking to? You know who it is, Grammy. Or you know who it is, your favorite grandson. Or those kind of things, or they'll go on and say that they're the lawyer, or that kind of stuff, and convince you that your grandchild needs this money. So this lady on Campobello, she was, and she called her husband and said, you got to come home, I need some more money. And he said, what are you talking about? And when he got home, he was like, no, we're not sending this. Thankfully, and she actually got the call another time, but this time she knew it was a difference. If you get such a call, my first tip is, one, hang up, call that person, call that grandchild, call that, because that's what she's, well then, and my husband said, well, call John and see, hey, Mom, Graham, what you doing? So call that person. If you call them and they're in jail, say, have a nice night, we'll see you in the morning. Just a little tip, if you ever get in trouble, apparently St. John Jail only gives granola bars, so it's better to get arrested in St. George, because we have TV dinners. One of my clients told me that once. I said, here's another thing, stop getting arrested. But to know what food you get in which jail, yeah, so that's some of the people I get to have the fun to work with. But call them, because she was convinced that her grandson needed help. They just play and tell you the different things, and you might say something that you don't realize allows them to continue this yarn, right? So it is happening in New Brunswick, happening way too often, because we care about our kids, we care about our grandkids. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to send it. But before you do that, call them to make sure, because most times they're going to be okay. Yes. Well, there was a situation in Moncton. I don't know if you saw it on the news, but they had people doing it and then saying, we will come to your house and pick it up. So they got these two boogers, but they would do all this, and then they would convince them to say, oh, you don't have to go out of your house, I'll just come over and I'll get the money from you. And luckily they got them, but when we get two, there's probably two more, right? So it's just the education piece, and some will do e-transfers. Another one I want you to hear, if you ever asked, you need to pay this, go buy some gift cards, please go boop, 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 because I don't know how many people are doing this. It's unbelievable. Have you ever paid your power bill with a gift card? No. But they're convincing people that you need to go buy these gift cards, scratch the back, give me the number. That's all they need to get the money. Because once you put it on there, when you use it, it's got the scratch the number. So that's all they need. And then there's the Bitcoin things and all the, I don't know enough about Bitcoins to talk to you about it, but when they start talking that lingo, we had one lady, it was a shame that she got talking to this investment person, and I can make you all this money. So she sent like $2,500, and then he called, oh, it's doing really well, it's doing great, you're up to this, but you know, if you get yourself over that 5,000 thing, you're going to have even more. It's going to be great. So she gave him another $2,500, and then it kept going on, and finally, after she gave away $10,000, somebody convinced her, like, you're getting scammed, and that's when she came into the police. It is very difficult to find these people because they could be anywhere in the world. Yes, we do have some local folks. If you're on Facebook and you want to know what's going on in the world, or in New Brunswick, well, Canadian Mounted Police in New Brunswick, they post everything there. When they arrest people, if there's anything like that. So you'll see these different things. But they're anywhere. So just, it's scary how many scam things are out there. It breaks my heart that we have to talk about this, that we have to be so untrusting when we've usually been a trusting folks. But I don't know if anybody ever had a chance to talk to them. I love when they come on and they have this really deep accent and they say, hi, my name is John. No, you are not. You are not John. Tell me your real name if we're going to talk, because it's not John. And then they get mad and, hang up or whatever. But I always say, you should be ashamed of yourself that this is what you're doing, is scamming people out of their money. Find a real job. But some of these people, that's their world. Like, that's it. Now, how many, you won something. You won something. But you just have to send me $9.95 to get it. Anybody hear those ones? So is it free if you send me $10? If I get $10 out of all of you, that'd be a great day. So don't think scams are only thousands of dollars. If they can get $10 out of somebody, $5 out of somebody, most of these poor people that are doing this, $5 a day is awesome, right? So they just keep trying all the time. Now the lovely, how many still have landlines? They love to call on those. What I think is neat now, on my phone, different times, it'll say likely spam. So that's kind of cool that you see that. Likely spam. It just started happening. I have Roger's phone. So I don't know if Bell does it or not. I don't have Roger's cell phone. Don't do it if you don't have, because it's terrible in this province. But at home, it'll say, and not always, but I think, and if you have that weird ringy thingy, like it doesn't sound like a real ring, that's probably a scam too. Now, what you can do if you're not sure what to do when this is happening, check it, read the number, but is that always going to tell you? No. They have found a way to get a local number and call from the local number, so you go, oh, 327, that must be somebody from here, that's that number, right? So they can do, I had one gentleman say, yeah, once I called myself. I went, whoa, they didn't work that one out real well. When he went and looked at the number, went, I don't know how I'm doing this, but I'm calling myself. But they'll do that, or you get the 0000, that kind of thing. Don't answer them. What happens is they'll call, I'll say 5, I don't know how many they call, but I'll say 5 phones at a time. Have you ever gone and answered and you go, hello? 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 What's happened is somebody else has already picked up the phone. So they'll call so many numbers, and whoever they get first is who is their victim. So wait, because probably they're going to be talking to somebody else. Doesn't mean they're not going to call you back, but at least you know. And there's been times I get them, and maybe I shouldn't do this because sometimes something could happen, but I'll call the number back. This number is not in service. How is that possible? You just called me. Like, really? So that is a thing, like, don't answer it. Now, I've had people say, oh, I don't like being rude to them and all that kind of stuff, and I've heard some really good examples for a while. My mother-in-law used to, she wouldn't be mad. Nope. So she, oh, just a minute, my potatoes are boiling. And she set the phone down, and then she'd go do something. And they're not going to wait too long because they want to try to talk to somebody else. Somebody that you deal with, Bell, your bank, whatever. I always just say, like I went to UNB, you get the things about sending money. I know it's legit, but still, I always say I will do that in person. If somebody's calling for you to do a donation, yes, there's lots out there that take donations, but I ask you, donate local. Because then you know, you walk in and you give it to the church, or you give it to the SPCA, or that kind of thing. Because sometimes they might be legit, but I'd like to know that my money is actually going where I want it to go, right? Do you have a question? No? Anybody have a question? I'm just going to check here. What do we got? Yes? Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it. Oh yeah, it's happening in this it is to pick it up. Oh. Because how they got it in Moncton is it had happened a couple of times, and luckily it happened to a woman that said, I'm going to call the police about this. So how they caught these two in Moncton was, luckily, she called the police, who got to her house before they came to pick up, and they got them. So don't be afraid to call the police. Some people say, I don't want to call, I'm going to bother. No, you don't know. We might say, hey, let's do this. Like, I wouldn't have thought of calling and then having them in my house waiting for them, but they caught them, right? They could have said, oh, I'm just not going to pay it. So what? But they were local people. Yep. I mean, you've got people that kids put videos on all the time, so they have hackers that can get into it. If you have any grandchildren, please talk to them about talking to people they don't know, because it is happening all the time. So they go in, they add them to their different apps, they have a video, they have a chat, they do it that way, then they record the voice, and then they use their tools to make this information. Yeah, the old AI thing is really scary, and you know, that's how they can go in. The computers can do the different things. They know what they're doing. If they would put the energy into a real job than what they're doing to scam people, they'd probably make a whole lot of money. But this is what they get tagged on. Yeah. Oh, I've heard that one so much. Mark, do you know any more about that piece? Mm, saying, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So then they get your voice. Because I know people have asked me, they said, oh, if I say yes, are they going to be able to get into my things? But you got to give them access, right? Now, the lady that I said I was at this talk that she come over to me before, she said, well, I get this call, and they said they owed me, they overpaid me for something or other. So she was like, oh, okay. And it happened to be that she had gotten something and had a refund. So they were talking about it, and they said, well, did you get it? And she went in and she checked on her bank, like on her bank app. And they said, okay, well, what you need to do is download this app. So they convinced her to download this app. And then when they got going, I said, okay, well, we send it again. You should go in and check your bank again. Well, luckily, she went not with the app and went to her thing and went, no, it's not there. Well, you didn't go through our app to check. And that's when, luckily, she went, okay, this is not okay, because they were convinced her to do this app. Then if she would have went in and verified her banking information, they had her banking information. So luckily when that, and she said I did take it somewhere, like a store, and say, I think I have something that shouldn't be on this, and they did find what the malware that was on it, was able to take it off and help her fix her phone. So they're just trying, like, I know many people that, anybody get the text, CRA's coming up, oh good grief. CRA time comes, they are out all the time. So please do not fall for these, because everybody wants some money back. Then you get the text, oh, we owe you $478, click here. And there's some people that go, wow, that's a lot of money. I could really take that. I know it's not mine, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then they get your banking information. So that will be coming out. The text about Canada Post, you have a package and you need to pay $2.10. Don't do that. If you owe $2.10, when you go pick up your mail, they're going to say, give me my $2. Because if there's duty on a package and all those kind of stuff, that is getting a lot of people. I talked to my bank people. They said, no, we are not going, or the Canada Post, we're not going to say you owe me $2. No. And we've seen with COVID, many people started to buy Amazon, this one, that one. So you may get the one, oh, your parcel hasn't, we don't have the right address, or we don't have the right information. And it'll be UPS or this or that, and because a lot of people still are ordering stuff coming to the house. So they're hoping that you'll hit that link, and then they start gathering information. Because they think, oh yeah, you go, yeah, right, I haven't got that package yet. Oh. It's not going to come through a text. I've had it that a fella come to the house, and because of these sneakers Leah wanted from wherever, I did so I had to, he had his machine and all that stuff, and you had to pay him there. But they're not going to send you a text and say, click this. If they don't have your address that you gave them when they delivered it, you probably don't want to work with them again, because they should have your address, because you put it in there. So if there's something wrong, and yeah, I've seen some of our delivery people aren't. I don't know how they got the job, but anyway, we had one that ended up, like, she come to the house, and I went, you should not be delivering packages, because I know you way too well. She doesn't deliver packages anymore. So with credit cards and those kind of things, one tip I like to give is, if you're, I know where I live down on the border, if I were to go to Bangor, usually you need to let your bank know, because they're like, what the heck's going on here, where are you at? But some folks keep a credit card with like a $500 limit or $1,000 limit, because I know some people have credit cards like $50,000 limit. I'm like, one, why would you need that? But oh my goodness. So people go to shopping somewhere and they just use that card. Luckily the skimming things are it's not happening as much as it used to be. Remember, you used to go to the grocery or the restaurant and I'll take your card, thank you, I'll be right back. Now they bring you the debit machine, because what was happening, the cards were going with you, then they were getting swiped or written down, because all they need is a little pin on the back, right? So that's why now they bring it to you, so it's stopping that piece. But I've had times that somebody can get a hold, but if you only have $500 on it, they're going to get $500. If you have a whole bunch. So if you're buying online, use a low credit card that you can only, if they happen to get it, they only can get that much. Yes. Now the banks told me, if you are the one that you're going to do this and you send the money, you made that choice, you're not going to get their money back from them. If somebody takes it from you and uses your card and you can prove, whatever, you do get your money back. Because how many here go on Marketplace? Anybody go on Marketplace online or buy things online, those kind of things? We've had some situations. We had a gentleman come in and he was quite upset because he was buying these big tires for a truck or something that he had, and had lots of conversations with this person. Yeah, send the money and then we'll meet up. Well, he sent $1,500 for these big tires, and then when he went in to say, okay, so when can we meet, poof, gone. Never, if you buy something online If they're forcing you to pay the full money, don't send them anything. Because I've had some that, okay, I'll send you $10, or no, we'll meet. Here you go. Also, if you sell things, don't get people to come to your house to pick them up. Because sometimes, how many here have a shed by their house? When you have a shed, a garage, snowmobile, or a lawnmower, some people do this, say they're going to come buy something that they don't, something for $5, but while they're there, oh, sweet, oh, this might be some place I want to come back later. So anytime I've done it, I meet them at the Tim Hortons, or I meet them at the mall, or I meet them somewhere in a public place. It's so funny, I always laugh because I work for the police, and I bought a whole bunch of floss for cross stitching from a lady in St. John, and we met by the Walmart, and it's like, here you go. I'm like, here's my bag of yarn, but I didn't want to go to her house. And I don't, because what if you're going to their house and you don't know them? There could be something else going on. It doesn't, and I don't want you to think everybody's bad. We always say 90% of the population is fine. It's the 10% that are the ones that cause all the trouble. So when I hear people, yes, we have a lot of people. Well, you hear a lot of crime, but it's a handful. Like right now, we are happy in Charlotte County because we have 3 of our prolific offenders in jail. So our thefts are like down. It's not like everybody's thieving and everybody's breaking in. But this is just some tips that, unfortunately, years ago we wouldn't care if you went to somebody's house. But now some are able to go online, read stuff like, oh, I'm going to buy this. Oh, they've got some. Oh, this is some really nice stuff. I'm going to buy the one that's for $10 because I don't want this. But if they're selling this for like $300, they must have some good stuff. So just be careful with that as well. I'm trying to see where else we need. Check your bank account every once in a while. Our banks are really good. On mine recently, because I've been driving with the girls, I had bought some gas and then I drove somewhere and I had to get new gas, and they were like, oh, did you have a repeat thing? And I'm like, no, I'm driving way too much. But they brought it forward to say, did you have a duplicate that the bank, the gas station, did they charge you twice? So they are seeing that. I know Scotia's got a whole bunch. There's always these updates, and I'm like, what now? But it's like, okay, it's annoying, but it's neat. It's nice to know they're keeping an eye on these things, that maybe, because I had gone in one time, they said it didn't work, and then they made me tap again and they got it twice and you get it back. So keep an eye, look at your account and see. I've had some call me and say, oh, well, what was it? There's something about a charge that I had on my card and all that stuff. Well, while I'm talking to them, I go on my banking app and I look at my credit card and I'm like, it's not there. But they're hoping that you're going to give them information to check it. Well, I checked it while I was talking to them. It's not on there. So no, you're lying, unfortunately. But they're just looking for somebody to just start that conversation and get you to believe it. Scammers love to call early in the morning. I really do not like when they call or supper time, because you're busy. You're busy. They want to get you that your mind's on other things, so you might be really quick to agree and just to get them off the phone. If it's a pressure thing, I've had people say, oh yeah, they said, well, and I have to talk with my spouse. Why, you can't do anything without them? No, I talk to my spouse, or I talk to my daughter before I spend money, so go away. So if the nastiness, just hang up. Like, you don't need to listen to that. We've got enough cranky people in the world. You don't need to be on your phone. You choose whether you talk on that phone, right? Or online. And there's so many things online. It's scary online. Okay, how many here are on Facebook? How many have had these handsome men from Dubai and all that, but they're all widowed, they have 2 children, and they're looking for love? Oh my word. I don't know how many, and hey, you're handsome, but I'm in Little New Brunswick, Canada. Why are you asking me to be your buddy? And that's where these romance schemes come in. That they know how to talk. They're looking for the widows. They're looking for the widowers that they can pull in, and then suddenly they need money for something. But, you know, the lady you said, saying he's going to take her on all these trips and going to buy her a car, but it's with her money. Because she's sending him the money. It's not like he's buying it for her, but when you're in love online, it seems to, the stories and all those things, it's scary. Oh gracious, it's terrible. And it's a tough thing because yes, we know of people that are doing this, and I'm telling you, there are some that will not believe you at all. I had one, there's a pastor down in my area, and her mom's in Ontario, I think it is. She's 83, but she's very good on the computer. But Aunt Marianne called me and she said, I think Mom's sending money to people that she shouldn't be. What do I do? How do I stop her? And I'm like, well, she's an adult. But is there somebody there that you can get to go talk to her? I said, you can call the local police and say they can go and try to explain. But if she's not going to listen, there's not a whole lot we can do. And then she was, oh, we did this. I said, well, I guess you're taking a trip to Ontario. Because, yeah, you can do it on the phone all you want, but sometimes when you have a sit down or, you know, there's different things to do. But unfortunately, they know what they're doing. Yeah. And they're looking for lonely people like COVID. Oh, my word, we were all trapped in our houses. Think how many people spent a lot of time on their computers and on their phones. And that was when they were grabbing and getting people. Like, look how many millions of dollars that it's just out. And don't think it's not just happening other places. Unfortunately, it is happening here. Now, we've had some local things. If you have to get work done, I mean, I know we know our local folks pretty well, but maybe there's a new company in town. If you need your roof done, if you need things, get some quotes. I mean, unless, like I said, you know who. Yep. No, go ahead. Yes. You mean on like your apps and all those kind of things? Okay. Well, they always look for the S for secure. I'm not a computer guru, but all I know is that if it's HTTPS, it's secure. If it doesn't have the S, you know it's not secure, right? This is the, when you're in your login kind of thing, when you have like, usually you have your www dot right before it, you'll see the HTTPS line, you know, slash whatever, CS for that. Like it needs to be secure. But another thing I see, how many in here? Let's see, nobody's, maybe we don't wear, I don't wear Crocs either, but Crocs were on. You get these companies that this neat thing is on, that you're going to buy this. If you see, I'll see if I can find one right away. If you see a product that's for sale and the name of the company is whatever, and then you see the same things for sale at another wonky name and another one, don't buy it. Because I know they had Crocs on sale there many moons ago, and Leah was like, oh, I gotta buy a pair, and I'm like, go to like crocs.ca or reitmans.ca. Don't think, oh, here's some clothes that's on for sale, but it's not the Reitmans site. I saw one for Pennington's, and you'd see these prices. If you look at them, go, okay, this sells for $50 in a store. How are you selling it for 10? That might be woohoo. But some people get their hands on stuff and sell it for cheaper, right? So my suggestion is if you see something, because right now, what's the scary part? Do you know, like, what we're talking about right now? If I go in here, it's probably going to show some things that we're talking about. It's really creepy. Because what was I talking about? Something last night when I stayed at my aunt's, and then I went to bed and I looked, I'm like, oh my word, we were just talking about that. That's kind of creepy. So these things will start popping up. So if you see a product that's not just one store, that's not going to be legit. You're going to get something that's not even what you asked for. I can't tell you whether for sure. I just trust as I can with this thing, and you get to know where you feel safe. Because I do online banking, I know there's a lot of people that don't. But they now you have to do like a PIN number and your thumb or your face. Like they're trying to do like 2 or 3 authentication that you can't I can't take your phone. And now I did hear that there was a mother and a daughter that looked so much alike, the daughter could actually open her mother's phone. I'm like, ooh, that's a really close. But they have ways that make it more secure. So unfortunately, we have to do these things. But yeah, accepting these friends. I tell all the kids I talk to, I'm going to tell you, if you have somebody on your Facebook that you really don't know, get rid of them, because why are they there for one? And like I'm on Facebook. I tell the kids I'm old. I got like 770 friends, but I could sit down and have a coffee with every one of them. And I get these hotties from Arabia and all these places that I'm like, yeah, you're kind of cute, but I know that's not what you look like in life. Because you are not going to look like that. I don't know who you are or what you are, but why are you picking little Lisa from St. George, New Brunswick? I don't understand. It's like really weird. Just seeing if I'm missing anything here where we're at. I could talk all day. Oh yes, downloading things. If you have grandchildren and you're not sure about, get the grandkids. They're going to help you. They'll teach it to you. Check them if there's apps that you downloaded and you don't use. Like I play different games on my phone just to get away from the world for a little while and do something silly. I don't chat. I just play these games. But if there's something you haven't played for a while, just get it off. It's not meaning it's going to do something. It takes up space on your phone. But there is things that happen with it. Never hit a link, a blue. You might see something and there's something and it's a blue link. If you don't know what this, don't click it, because that's one of the ones that can get into your phone or into your laptop with viruses. There was one quite a while ago now. I don't know if it come up this way or not, but we had somebody come into the office and he was very distraught because he got this email popped up and said, "We are going to report you because you are looking at porn sites. So if you don't click this link, we're going to call the police because you're on porn or whatever." So, silly boy, I guess he might have been on it. Hit the link, and then it took over his computer. And this is his business computer. Like, they had all his business information, his banking, and he came in like, "I know, I'm foolish, I'm not real bright, I did this, now they're on their computer." And he had to go and get his computer all reformatted and all that stuff, because I guess they know some people go on porn, and if they can catch a few, then they were able to get all this information off his computer. So don't be clicking. And then sometimes you might get an email that you look up and it'll have your email and some of your friends, and you're like, oh, okay. If you don't know who the sender is, just delete it. I don't know how many times I delete all the time, because you're going to get things. Go in, block. If there's some that keeps going, block them. Then they can't keep coming through, because it will continue, because they find ways to get more on your phone and all that stuff. So yes, your bank will never send an email asking you to disclose personal information. So anytime anybody asks for that, unless you call them, if you call Rogers, if you call your bank, then you know you're talking to your bank. Then that's when they start all the questions. I'm like, oh, good grief, I called ya. But it's the security piece. I know it might be a pain, and you're thinking, it's me. But they're going to ask what you might have, just to make sure, because maybe somebody heard you talking on the phone one day, and you gave these answers, and that's all they need. So they do this. So it takes a little longer sometimes, but it's for your protection. Never contact you to ask a one-time passcode. Well, there is some that do that. There's so many different things online. It's just do what you're comfortable with. I know if there's so much out there, but if you're unsure about something, you want to try something and you don't know, Ask one of our young people. They'll be able to tell you, because they'll, say do this, don't do this, that kind of thing. Because there's too many steps for me to talk to. Oh yes, the romance scams. Yes. On the rise, several warning signs that your new relationship could be a scam. It's an online friend asks you for some sensitive information or money for any reason, and then they end the communication. Romance scams depend on seemingly trusting relationship and believable story to scam your victim. Some people, I don't know if I should talk about this in a church, Mark. Them pictures. Some people are getting talked into, they're talking to people, and then they're sending some dirty pictures out. Because they're getting, and this is, sadly, I've dealt with as young as an 11-year-old that sent nude photos to somebody up until adulthood. Because there was one man, I kind of chuckled because I'm like, you in trouble with your wife. Because he got talking with somebody online. He decided to take a picture. And what happens, you send it and then they start blackmailing you. They ask for more pictures. If you don't do that, I want money. If you don't do that, I'm going to send it to your family. Well, he come into the office. He was pretty nervous. I think his wife caught him, so he was in a little bit more trouble. But they're blackmailing. They say they're going to do this. So as much as you might feel that you're in love, please don't do that. Because it's happening every age. Like, it was heartbreaking at 11. I was like, oh my word, this is scary. So if you have younger family members, teenagers, talk to them about it, because I try. I get in as much as I can to get it in there, and if we can get some that don't do it, we're hoping. Yes, sir. No. It never goes away. I had a young fellow at 13 years of age. He was talked into sending a nude photo, and I found out that all these kids were adding this person. So I went to the school and said, boys, like, stop, because how I found out, one of the other young boys added this lady, and the first conversation they had was asking for nude photos. And luckily he was like, Mom, this is so gross. And his mom called me and all that kind of stuff. Well, then I get a call from this other boy's mother, and she's freaking out because he got an email. And it had the picture that he had sent, and they were trying to blackmail. And then they were saying, I'm going to come to your house. We're going to beat you up. And I'm like, number one, I doubt they're going to come to your house because I don't know where they are. Number two, if a strange person comes in your house and tries to break in, call the police. But the sad part was, this was 6 years later. 6 years later. He was now 19, had made a mistake at 13. Sadly, at this time, he was going through some mental health issues. Did you think this helped? No. But luckily, we got him some. There's so many. So if you go to the website for the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, I just was on here earlier. There is an A to Z. Oh, I didn't put my stuff on here. Oh, stop it. In it. There's so many scams, so it's the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. I know you can't see this very well, but when it opens, in here they have scams by A to Z index. So if you hear of one, you can go in and go, oh, what's this one? Or maybe somebody's mentioned it to you. And so make sure you get one of those, because they have it listed all the time. They do show what's one of the scams that are coming up, that kind of thing. You can do this through a phone call, or you can do it online. Don't think, oh, it's not going to do anything. You never know. We might just need one more piece of information from somebody, or it's nice what they do is they compile all the information. And if they see, oh, wow, we're seeing this scam reported a lot in Minto, we need to let the local members know that how can we maybe get the word out about this. Because as you know, most of them are who knows where in the world, but at least we can teach you ways to know, or know, okay, and then they'll put out a press release to let people know this is happening, that kind of thing. Luckily, I don't think the cruise ship scam's going on anymore. Anybody remember the cruise ship scam? They call you and say, you've won these tickets and you get to just $350. Whoop, whoop. You go on. I haven't heard of that one for a long time, thankfully. Has anybody had any other, like a different something happen that what we've talked about? Yeah? Mm-hmm. 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 And there was a recent one that I know of that I heard down our way. Somebody was going to buy a trailer. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So, friends of mine heard about this trailer, the trailer that would usually be like $5,000. Well, everybody likes a deal. So they saw it online. So they said, okay, we're selling it for 1,000. Oh, awesome. So, okay, well, send me $100. And I mean, $100, yes, it's not much, but still, if I got 100 from all of you, it would be a lot. So they put the money down. Okay, where do I go pick it up? They drove up, I think it was in like Rishagornish or something. They get to this address. There's no trailer. Somebody picked an address, put this thing on, and while this is a friend of mine who she messaged me all the time, it's kind of funny after 17 years, people message me online. I'm like, I'm not in my office, but I still like to help. So while they were there, somebody else showed up looking for this trailer. And then the owner of the house comes out and said, why are you folks here? Well, we saw online that you were selling a trailer, and well, this man didn't have a trailer. So they managed to get $100 out of how many people, and there wasn't really a trailer. But they saw it, oh, well, that's a really good bargain. Well, there isn't really a trailer. And if you saw the news, there's some of the apartment scams that they're doing for these poor people. They come and looking for a place, and then they go, and there's like 6 people trying to go into a house. Mark? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. If some, yeah, if somebody's like call and they want to, and they do such a thing as insisting you use something, just know, hang up, hang it up. Like, it's sad that this is going on, but it is. Any other? Yep. Hmm. And if you go into those contests online and you fill in everything, they sell it to somebody else too, right? Or, it just gets out there. So unfortunately, we need to be more cautious of what we're doing and who we're talking to and those kind of things. But keep an eye on your bank account. Make sure nothing fraudulent's going on there. The banks, like I said, are really good and they seem to keep onto it. If you're not sure, that website is great. And you got Mark as a resource here. If he's not sure because he's been out for a little while, get a hold of me because I can do what I can, kind of thing. It's awful that this is the world we're in, But it's a great internet, a lot of great things that you can do with it. You keep in contact with folks, you know, like we went to see Madeline today and I've seen her pictures. So I saw your birthday, you know. So they were like going, how do you know that? It's so funny with Dad. We'll FaceTime with Dad and he's like looking at it and he's go, show that picture to Anita. That's really nice. And it's like, it's Jordan right there. Like a video call, he just don't get it. He's like, how am I talking to my granddaughter on this phone? Well, that's pretty cool that you can do this, and like instead of just, I mean, it's good anyway, but it's neat for him to see. So a lot of changes. Now I told Mark I have a couple things that I always say. Please lock your car doors. Lock them, lock them, lock them. Don't leave anything. Don't leave. We live down by the border. Guess what everybody leaves in their vehicles in Charlotte County? Their passports. Don't leave. I know. Oh, I got to go for gas. Well, put it somewhere else, not in your car. So lock your cars. Keep the change out of the change thing, because some of them are just looking for a little bit of change, because a little bit of change adds up to a lot of change, which adds up to some weed or meth or whatever. Sheds, lock them. Right, if you have any tools or any big things like that, mark down your numbers on them, because you should have the numbers written down somewhere, because we recover stuff, but there's nobody knows, so you can't say, oh, that's mine. Well, how do I know that's yours? Yes, you lost a drill, but is that your drill, or is the other buddy that lost his drill, right? Write those things down. Lights on at your house. It's too sad that we have to do this. I know Ripples has a really good neighborhood watch page, so if you see some stuff that's not good, and I know your municipality of Grand Lake page is good, a lot of stuff is on it. Talk to your neighbor, keep an eye out for your neighbor. If you see a car that seems to be driving really slow and you know this is not a normal car, call the police. You never know, right? We've got to be there for each other. We need to get back to knowing our neighbors and knowing what's going on, but keeping, and don't say, oh, I'm not going to call, it doesn't mean anything. You don't know what that might be. That little oh, I saw this car. Did you get a plate number? No, but I know the last two numbers is 37. We might have got the other numbers, but we need 37, right? So never think, oh, I can't call, because I hear so many times, never see the police, never see them around. Well, guess what? I don't want to see them. I don't want them around my house, because if it's around my house, there's something going on. I don't want to see them in Beaver Harbor. That's where I live. I'm happy I don't see them, because if they're around, something's going on. So if you're worried about that and you say, don't see any police, I'm glad. Yes. Some might, and I do want to tell you there is changes. I had this right from headquarters in Ormocto, and the lady I have in my office looks after the force houses. They are getting members in the force houses in this area. It is in the works right now. So you'll have a corporal and you'll have three constables, I think here, 2 or 3, I can't remember. I don't know. But you know how we always had them in the force houses here? They're getting their behinds back in the force houses. So they're going to be here to start. They're going to be doing things. I don't know the timeline because it's not really my area. But I always talk to people about this area, because to me it's still my area. So I want you to be safe. Yes. Yes, and they realizing, let's get it going again, which is good. And yes, if there's something going on, it is nice to see them once in a while, but I do want you to know, I don't want them in my community, because we used to have 2 drug dealers in my area. They've moved, so I don't have to see them anymore. Oh, there's some I could name that are probably still here when I was here, and that's sad. But that's the court side. I'm not even going to get into that one. Yeah. Yeah. Calls. That's how they. No. And also, yeah, but at least there's, like, I went to this corporal and said, I know this area. You got to get them down there more, and working on it. And I have heard, like I said, I've got Denise who looks after all this stuff in my office, so I hear the conversations. But it's great that you're calling, and I hope others call, right? And remember, the police may be in your community when you're sleeping. Hope you don't stay up all night. Yeah, unfortunately. And there, you know, Chipman. Call, call, call. We had some, you probably heard different call issues we had in Macadam. The calls started coming in because we knew calls were not. Because I'd be at things and people would say, did you call it in? No. I can't help you if you don't call it in. I can't, right? And I know it might not be instant gratification and done, but like you said, when we see the calls, we move the people. That's how it works, right? And yes, we want to see them. And if you're having these issues, I'm going to have a chat with your corporal and bring it up myself, because you have a really Mark Trier is his name. He's your corporal here. I've only met him a couple times. He actually came to the school with me. I do presentations at the school too, because it's my school. And he came over with me, right? So I'm trying to, because I feel if I'm trying so hard, I wish I could get transferred to Ormuckto, because I'd be your CPO and I'd be here so often you'd be sick of me. But I try to sneak it in once in a while, right? So be safe. If you're not sure, if you get that gut feeling or this feeling and you're not it's okay if you don't fill it in. It's okay if you don't answer. It's okay if you don't do what they're saying. It'll go on. If it's something that your bank needs or whatever, they'll send you, you'll go in, you know. Don't think I'm going to miss out on this big prize. Nobody gives anything for free these days. It's not. Unless you put your name in for something. Because we were out for lunch and a lady come over and she couldn't be here today. She said, I got a question for you. And I said, what's that? Well, I got this. What was it? It was an email. Yeah. 900. Yeah. She won this money. And Mark said, so did you put in your name in a draw for $957? Well, no. Then how did you win it? And she knew. Luckily, she didn't get herself in trouble. But we were like, think about, okay, I won this. Did I really enter for this? So that's why you got to be careful too. You might go to the Costco and ooh, or go to the Walmart or whatever, and you might think, oh yeah, I did put in for that. So just be careful. It's sad that we got to be so careful, but question it, talk to your friends, that kind of thing. If something has happened to you, share it with your friends. You know, if you hear somebody talking about something, you go, oh, let's look at this website. It's got stuff on there, because it has, you can, a long time reading the different ones that could happen. Pretty sad that we've got one like A to Z this long. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they now sell wallets and different things that you can put your cards in to prevent. If you go online, I don't know, would Bentley sell them? Yeah, I was going to say Walmart, Bentley's. Yeah, because some people have these things that if I had, I could walk around and just bloop, bloop, bloop. Now, I don't hear a lot about that happening, and I'm only going to talk to you about what I know. I'm not going to say this is happening, but it does. Yes. And some people don't even realize until suddenly their card has this many charges on it or something, right? So it's just different things out there. Go online, say how can I be safer, those kind of things, and there's all kinds of information. But we're around to, yes. Somehow they able, yeah. Cancel your card, get you a new card, and that kind. So no, don't. If you call, they're going to cancel it, which they need to do because if somebody's gotten your card information, you got to stop that, right? So it's sooner that you do. If anybody ever loses a wallet or anything, first thing you need to do is call your bank, your credit cards, that kind of thing. So you should have that written down somewhere too, or keep your statement that has a phone number. But I just want you to be safe. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. If you've won something and they want you to send money, you didn't win it. Because why do I have to send you money to get it to me? If I want it, you should be paying the postage, as crazy it is now. Oh, yes. Yep. So the bar thing. They've got all the information. Don't. It probably won't be a fancy gift. Don't do it. Because if you get something delivered from your Amazon or whatever, you don't have to scan. And it doesn't make any sense to me how they make them put the thing down and they make the drivers take a picture of it. And that's supposed to say they left it? I could take a picture and then go, it makes no sense. I don't understand. Yeah. And I mean, if you're not sure, if you're like, that's another big thing we've been saying to folks. You can get a decent camera for your doors and at Costco or Walmart or whatever. You don't have to have these big fancy ones. You don't have, unless you like it. There's some cameras you can have and you can talk to your dog all day. Okay, but just have it at the front door where you would regularly have packages. Have it aimed at your front of your garage. Some can go right to your phone and you'll see if it's happening, but it really helped. And sometimes some of these critters might see, oh, they got a camera, I'm not going to go there, because the deterrent of it. So oh yes, but luckily some of these, yeah. And if they get caught, like I said, we had one down my way and she came to bring something to my house, and I wasn't afraid because I coached her kid when he was this big, but I'm like, how are you delivering packages? How did this happen? And eventually they found out she was doing the click, click, let's go, or not, so she no longer does that. But it's like, how do they get it? Yeah. But if you ordered something, it's going to have your name, your address, the address of the company, all that. Bark, don't do with a little tappy tap, because why do you need to do that? You ordered something, you paid for it, it's mine. But and I said to Mark, it might be not us older folks that will fall for it because we don't usually use that. teens and 20s, 30s, they're so used to, they're the ones that are going to get caught because they do everything with these codes. Well, smarten up. You need, but hopefully they'll hear about it and not happen, right? Like your bottom, your last step. And you could have that one and the upper, right? So he might think, oh, I see that, and gotcha. Which is, it's sad that we got to do these things. But these are some tips that sometimes when they see these things, they stay away from it. They don't go because they see that the light will turn. Like motion sensors are great because if they're trying to sneak around a house, and I've got two because we've got a big old tomcat that goes outside, so we have it and the light comes on, we know he's coming, but it also deters because you see the light come on, right? The deer walks by, it turns it on, but if somebody was sneaking around, they'd be like, oh, somebody saw me. So they, that kind of thing. So it's just little things that can help you be safer. I hope you learned some things today and we had a nice chat. Like I said, on the back is the brochure for the anti, well, how my brain's going here. That one there. And then there's another newer book that I found online that's actually from the bank. And it's a whole bunch of tips and things too. Yes, Malcolm. Just say no. Because there is some, yeah, there's ones that are constant, right? Shriners or, yeah. Hmm. They'll keep, yeah, early, yeah. Credit card, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's another way you could say, I need to read this, what you're talking about, send it to me. So if they're legitimate, maybe sometimes not, they still will. Yes, yeah. Oh, yes, and the heart and stroke has their certain time. But if you're not sure, what I always say, Malcolm, yes, a lot of these are legit, but you can go on online and see how much of your money is actually going to these children, like 10 cents, because the top dogs are making millions. I always say donate local. If I give you $10, it's $10. You're not saying, okay, I'm going to, no, it's going to that. So, yes, I'm not saying don't go to these places because they need it, but why is the top dog making all this money and these children that they're supposed to be raising is getting peanuts of it, right? So, here, donate to your local school and those kind of things, then they're going to be using it, what they're going to use it for, right? Because I know if you give donations to some, is it 20, $50 they can give you a receipt? I'm not sure. Everyone's different, right? So you can get a tax receipt and those kind of things. But if they're bugging you, I'd stop getting a hold of them because if they're going to keep that up, how many more people are they doing it to? It should be a one-time donation, but then they keep bugging, right? So, yes, sir. No, no. There is that police, you see them stickery things there. But I don't know if that's still around anymore. Okay. No. Yeah, those stickers they use. I haven't heard. Exactly. No, because you see that people have those things, but I haven't heard tell of it much. But police are not supposed to act like I'm not even supposed to go out and try to get fundraising. I have to get my community folks to ask for me. And you don't go and you get stopped and can I pay my ticket now? No, we don't do that. So that's why we're trying to get out there. The police, this one about you need to pay the $2,000 because we have a warrant for your arrest. The money's not coming to the police. It's going to go to court, right? No. And speak of the warrant one, we actually had one going around that was saying, you know, you need to pay this, or you have a warrant for your arrest, you need to bring in money and then we won't arrest you. And I want you to know, if you have a warrant for your arrest, we're not going to warn you. Because people who are warned leave. We are not going to say, we're coming to get you on your warrant tonight. So if you get that one, and all of you should know whether you have a warrant or not. And I don't think anybody does. I hope not. Because you'd know. Now, if you didn't go to court to pay your traffic ticket and it's still not paid, you might have a warrant for your arrest, believe it or not. Because if you don't show up to court, they can put a warrant for you not showing up. But that's another thing. People say, oh my gosh, they're going to come after me. Oh, I got to pay this. No, we don't let you know when we're coming to get you. Because that just makes it even harder because you're not going to be there. Yep. Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh my. Well. Wow. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like Mark said, though, keep an eye on your statements. You get them, you might not catch it. Somebody. Yeah. Somebody had a really good meal. Several good meals. Yeah. Oh, they can get it somehow, and it's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Right. Yeah. And that's why they've gone to a lot of the handheld or your tap machines are on the, like it's there. Because they used to have people that would go and grab the keypads and switch it out and get everybody's information. Thankfully, we don't have to talk about that anymore because now they keep it right there. What's that? Yep. Yep. I don't. see, I'm just seeing there's a whole bunch here, so I'm going to make sure I put it up for you to see later. There's just so many. Under the church, right? Yes. Yeah. 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 But no, talk to folks. You know, don't be afraid to call the police, stop, you know, whatever. Mark's here. You can get a hold of me. I don't mind. Like I said, I've been doing this long enough. I love that people reach out to me, and sometimes I'm like, okay, call me tomorrow, or I can help you right now, because it's scary what's going on. There's lots of great things about the internet, but we just need to be more on top of our, you know, our financial statements and those kind of things, because if they get certain amount, then they can go on and open credit cards up and these different things by getting these clues that you've used before, and then they go in and do it again. So, well, thank you very much. Stuff on the back. I'll be around if you want to chat. Mark, turn this thing off.